Good morning, everyone. Landlords leaving money on the table. It happens and they don't even know. Stay tuned. We're with Twan. We're going to talk about it right now.
Good morning, gents. Thanks for joining us, Twan from Duo Tax. This is going to be a very exciting episode. I'm honoured to be alongside these two to ask a few questions this morning. We're talking a little bit about building depreciation, landlords leaving money on the table. Here's what you need to know.
It's all here. So, Twan, thank you so much, buddy.
You're welcome.
Question. Thanks, bud. Question time. What do you get asked much? Because you guys are in the business of depreciation. The most number one common question that you'll get asked by someone ringing in, which would generally be a landlord, is,
can I claim depreciation on a second-hand property? Can I claim depreciation at all? Can I backtrack depreciation and claim depreciation on those years that I've missed out on it? They're probably the most common questions, Mark.
Okay, and so just to put this into perspective, first of all you've got to own a property.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, do you have to have that rented out the property to get this money on the table?
Correct. At some point, even if you own or occupy the property, if you have lived in it for a certain amount of time, if you've rented it out for a certain amount of time, or you plan to rent it out, that place you live in, you are then eligible for depreciation claims as part of the ATO's legislation. And
to quantify what we're about to have a chat about and go through the ins and outs of it, for every dollar someone would spend on one of your reports, and by the way, everyone, we're not getting paid for doing this. We're just trying to help you with telling you a little bit about what's it about. And Tuan's given his kind time to offer his services. So we're not getting any money for referrals or anything like that. It's genuinely good advice. Tuan, for every dollar that someone spends with you, what do you reckon they would get back?
So the lovely thing about any expense when it comes to an investment property or a rental property or a commercial property at that, is that that fee itself is fully tax deductible. So every dollar you spend on the report is tax deductible, just as you would with any maintenance of a property, any cleaning fees of a property, same deal. But the important thing is that on average, our clients and most Australian property investors claim somewhere between $3,000 to $4,000 in tax depreciation as a deduction annually. And that means that if your property is 10 years old, Mark, you're eligible to claim in Australia up to 40 years of depreciation. So if you've got a 10-year-old property, there's still another 30 years to claim depreciation at $3,000 to $4,000 a year. So we're talking about what? $30,000, $40,000 residual value in depreciation still left to go in most Australian homes that are rental properties.
That's huge.
Deduction, yeah, it's great value. It's one of those things. It's a no-brainer. The ATO has legislated it. It's been available for a very long time in Australia, but I think the biggest problem in Australia is education piece. Not having people present it like yourself and Billy have today, and being able to share this content or this knowledge with your investor. And the issue is that most investors are first-time investors. And being a first time at anything, unless you're told to do something, you will always lack the education piece in that harness that knowledge in actually making your property work as hard as it can for you financially and also from a tax effective standpoint as well.
Interesting.
Billy, what's the killer question?
I have to ask you this one because I'm in this situation right now. I had a little bit of a read over your website last night. I have to say it was very informative. I learned a lot. So if you have any questions after the show, get on the website, Duotax, have a read because it is very good. Is the property ever too old to claim or to invest in a depreciation report?
Great question, Billy. There is a cutoff date. The ATO's cutoff date is the 17th of September, 1987. That is the cutoff date for when the building starts construction. Once it commences construction after that date, the ATO will allow you to claim full depreciation on the building. Okay, so that means if it costs you $100,000 back in 1990. Then you're able to claim $2,500 because that's the going rate, 2.5% for a property built in 1990, and you could claim that for 40 years. So up until 2030, you'll be able to claim $2,000 per year as a tax deduction. So if you bought a report now, there's 9 years left to claim, and if you've owned the property since year 2015, you could actually go back 2 financial years and amend those tax returns and claim that extra $4,000 because that's 2 years times $2,000. There's $4,000 tax deduction. You might have to pay a small accounting fee, which might be $50 amendment to an accountant or a tax agent, or you can do it yourself. But you would be legally able to do that. No issues at all.
Wow, this is big.
It's big, and guys and girls, it's not a large sum of money that you're putting on the table for these depreciation reports. A typical cost for a depreciation report is
$550 is generally what we charge with our partners, like Novak Properties. So there's a bit of a discounted fee going through partners. We do have a really retail price online, but definitely that's one of our strong points in working with partners and educating yourselves as well as your clientele, and that's a tax deductible fee of $550.
one off.
Lasts you for the entire period of the building life. So you only organise it one time, and the only time you need it is either when you buy a new property and you need another schedule, or you do a renovation, which we don't charge at all. If you add in a dishwasher, you add in an oven, because people do these things, and you add in some carpet. But if you do a major renovation, we might charge you a small fee to do a renovation. So anything from $15,000 to $20,000 plus in a renovation, we might charge a small fee. But what that gets for you is an extra potentially $2,000 to $3,000 per year again. So they're things to think about.
So just to explain what it looks like, a tax depreciation schedule will have 40 years. So it'll have a table, and on that table it'll say, this year you can claim that, next year you claim that, next year you claim that. So literally your accountant will grab the year and grab the number and deduct it.
That's correct. There's actually, in every depreciation schedule, you will have what is called the capital work column, which is essentially your building value, which is the $2,500 I spoke about per year. In a brand new property situation, or in a situation where you bought brand new assets, okay, or you bought a property that has been literally just fully renovated and sold to you as a fully renovated property, brand new, you can claim full depreciation. And what that means is that we're able to claim not just the building itself, but you can also claim things like the plant and equipment. Now, that's really important. That's only eligible for people that have brand new properties or brand new plant equipment. So you got to buy, if you go and buy this $100,000 building valued house, and you go and put in $20,000 worth of new plant and equipment, you can claim it. Oven, range hood, carpet, dishwasher, air conditioner. You can claim it when you bought a brand new for the purpose of renting it out. But if you buy the property with these equipment, you can't actually claim it secondhand. The oven, range hood, etc., for the secondhand. That's the legislation. Now, if you do buy these assets brand new and you install it, or you buy it brand new with the home, you buy a brand new home, you can claim full depreciation. Now, what that means is that because your oven, dishwasher, range hood, they have much shorter effective lives than your building. I mean, your building is 40 years old, depreciable over 40 years. Whereas an oven, range hood, the ATO understands these assets don't last 40 years. So they put shorter effective lives on it.
Ah, right.
So what that does is, say for example, you've got a 20 grand worth of appliances, you could actually condense that and claim maybe $2,000 or $3,000 additional $1,000 on top of the $2,000 or $3,000 that you're already claiming on the building. So now you've got a $6,000 tax depreciation schedule if you go in and spend 20 grand on appliances. Or you go buy a brand new house, you get a lot more worth of depreciation because you're getting a lot more plant equipment. Anything that's got a shorter effective life, like pieces of carpet, timber flooring, air conditioning, ceiling fans, mechanical ventilation in your bathroom. You leave dishwasher, you leave your washing machine behind, whatever it is that you bought for the tenant as use that might be motorized, they generally will draw much higher, stronger depreciation. And these are the type of goods that I always recommend people installing if they go and do a renovation. For
Billy, do you have any more questions over there?
Yeah, I've got another one. So I want to give you my example. I'd love to be the centre of the stage here. So I bought a property that was built in '64. So by the sounds of it, it's slightly outside of the age to get your money back on the depreciation. But is it worth still getting the report if you're considering putting the appliances in, like new floorboards and dishwasher, things like that, washing machine?
Certainly. A majority, I would say 95% of the clientele that come through and organise reports with us, or even inquire about a depreciation schedule, they might have properties from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Most of them will have some degree of renovations. And the beautiful thing with the renovation piece in terms of capital work and building, if you put in new joinery, new bathroom, new kitchen, new flooring, new paint work, even if you didn't install these, even if you didn't outlay the money yourself, the ATO will still let you claim the depreciation of someone else's work. So that means if you bought the property in 1964, you do a renovation in 2015, or your previous owner did a renovation in 2015, should I say, and you bought it in 2021, you've got a renovation that's only 6 years old, Billy, in 2021. So the ATO has recognised that you've got 34 years left of residual value of depreciation on the building works, which includes the kitchen, bathroom, paint work, flooring, etc. Okay.
I've got another question. This one's a bit of a strange one. You might not get it too often. Can a depreciation report be sold on with the property, or is it tailored to one person? Yeah, is it transferable?
Is the property depreciation schedule transferable? No, it is not. Because of the way the legislation is set up, you've actually got to organise a schedule for each particular owner. Because what happens is, if the previous owner to you, Billy, installed the items as a brand new asset, they would have been claiming it brand new for its entirety. But once it's transferred over to you, you're no longer eligible under the new legislation in 2017. Okay, to claim plant equipment. So now we've got to do a revised schedule to capture just the capital works that are remaining that haven't been claimed. And most of the time, in my experience over the thousands of reports we've generated, we've only had ever one person that came with us with a property depreciation report from the previous owner. It's something when you transact a property, which you guys would know, people don't transfer any depreciation schedule, and they don't have any owners too. There's no responsibility to do that. So the great thing is then getting a quantity surveyor like ourselves in to then value what we think the market rate of that renovation would have been back in 2015, and that's what forms part of our expertise and allows the ATO to give us the sort of authority to give this advice to property investors.
Okay, Twan, before we wrap it up, a couple of short, sharp questions we've got and answers that we need. How long does it take to prepare one of these reports?
In the busiest of weeks, which is typically during the tax season, which can be June to August, it takes us anywhere between 1 to 2 weeks, but generally all year round, it takes us 1 business week to turn around reports. So That's what the expectations are, and that's usually with booking inspection, organising a surveyor out there, and then having our team prepare the report, which is almost instantaneous these days.
Do you need to inspect the property?
Not all properties, only properties that have major renovations that can't be satisfied in terms of photo evidence that we need to provide it. Now, most of the time we use a source called RP data that will help us prepare the report based on the building date, which is provided by RP data core logic, which a lot of people are familiar with, as well as building areas, and that's always supplemented with photos, and also brand new properties where we're provided with a floor plan from the client and also a building contract that would exempt us from not having to do an inspection.
What does the landlord have to give you when they ring you up?
Very basic, property owners' names, the address of the property, any construction costs that they inputted into the property, or renovations, the cost of the date of those the completed works, and the scope of works, and what else? The rental start date. So sometimes they might live in it, sometimes they're already living in it. They may have rented it out a few years ago and want to claim depreciation from a few years ago. So we need to know the dates of when they lived in it, when they rented it out. But for most cases, that are just purely rental properties. We just ask, have you ever lived in it? If they say no, we just work off the settlement date. So you're entitled to claim the full depreciation effective from the settlement date. So the pieces of information we need are very sparse. So it makes it very simple for an investor to organise something like this.
Before we go, have we missed anything, Tuan, that you want to mention?
You can claim depreciation on a property that you've held for some time. If you might have held a property since 2015, and you've had it as a rental property, well, the ATO will allow you to go back 2 years and amend your tax return and claim the extra depreciation that we've prepared in the schedule, and claim that extra $2-3 per year. Now that's for individual taxpayers, but I believe for companies, you're actually allowed to go back 4 years and claim depreciation. And most of the time, companies would be sort of connected with commercial properties, of course. So that's something to keep in mind, consider. And of course, the fee doesn't change when we go back and prepare schedules 2 years ago. Because what we do is always retrospective. It depends on when you build the property. But 6 months, 6 years, or 60 years ago, we'll be able to work out something based on our indexes, regardless.
Billy, any final questions?
Do you think this is the ATO's hidden message, saying you've got to buy new? They're pushing for that.
Question.
That's a really good question, Billy. The 2017 legislation was in May. The federal budget changed the way we claim depreciation and eliminated people from claiming depreciation on second-hand plant and equipment, as I mentioned to you earlier. And I think the whole reason behind that is to sort of slow down the investment space in terms of buying existing properties and try to push the building space. And today there's, I think we still have that big push in Australia. People are, a lot, it's there to keep the economy flowing, get people on job sites. Construction is up, and I think they've done a good job of that. And I think the rate at which Australian housing prices are going is probably a reflection of that. I'm not an economist, but from merely picking up a piece of newspaper, you could probably tell that.
Absolutely. Billy, great question. I think you took the question of the episode. You took the title there.
Thank you, Mark.
And you're very lucky, Tuan. I didn't unleash Billy on you completely.
Maybe next time.
He would have unwrapped you and put you all back together within seconds. All right. Thank you very much for coming on. I think the in conclusion from today, what I've learned, and hopefully what everyone out there has learned, is you're spending $550. You're making your shitload from spending that. You're only spending that once off, and in investors, if you haven't got one, you got rocks in your head. Get a building depreciation schedule from Tuan.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
get
me.
educated.
Yeah. Thanks, gents.
See ya.
Thank you. See you.
Thanks, Tuan. See you, buddy. Thank you so much for your time.
Welcome.
See ya.